It's finally the weekend. Well, it's Friday, but it's the end of the day, so for me it's a weekend. And today, during my lunch break and after work, I went thrift shopping. So I thought I would show you everything that I got. I plan to go also thrift shopping tomorrow because I want to find some specific stuff that I didn't find today. So yeah, I'm going to show you. So the first store I went today during my lunch break because I saw pictures they posted on Facebook. I wanted to check the hours and it was on Facebook. And I saw this picture and I saw this table and I was really interested in it. So I went during my lunch break and it was 50 euros and it was too expensive for me. I don't want to pay that much for a piece of furniture, especially secondhand. So yeah, I didn't buy it, but I found two things there. The first is this frame. I have above my dining table a gallery wall that I try to add stuff from time to time because I want stuff everywhere on my wall. So maybe it could go there, or maybe I thought, weirdly, in my bathroom I have a shelf with all my products and I thought maybe on top of it would be nice. So yeah, I got this. And I got also this. It's a wooden book, but I thought it was really cool. And it was 50 cents. And the frame was 3 euros. And then after work, I was just supposed to come home and just relax because I had a really, really long week and not really good sleep at all. But I'm always doing stuff. So I went to a thrift store near me. And in my last video, I talked about having villages at my place. I showed you the dog village, but I also have a human village. And I just collect houses for this village, like small houses. And I found 3 of them. These are my houses. Do I have space left on it's on my mantelpiece? Do I have space left for that? Not really, but it was 50 cents a piece. So I was like, yes. There was more, but I contained myself. And then to put probably on my gallery wall, I got this little shelf. I probably painted black because everything on my wall that holds frames or other villages I have, I've painted it black. And I got this for 20 cents. And then I'm going to a few Renaissance fair. Here we call it medieval festival. But I'm going to a few this year. But I got this bag for 15 euros and I thought it was really cool. Also with the stone in the middle. So yeah, that's my thrift haul of the day. And so now I'm gonna take a shower, relax, cook, and then I'm gonna start a new book. I'm gonna try to do a weekend reading vlog or a weekend vlog and we'll see how it goes. I hope you're ready to see me a lot like this because it's me in my natural habitat. I'm always, as soon as I come home from work or anywhere, I just put my PJs on. I never stay in my clothes when I'm at my place. So yeah, I decided to start this book, A Language of Dragons by S.F Williamson. I hold it in my comic book shop with me in London and Oxford. I got this one in Oxford. So yeah, I'm excited to try this one. And I think I'll tell you a little bit more about it when I read like 50 pages or like a few chapters. So see you then. Good morning. It's obviously the next day. And I read like 70 pages of the book. First, I was very surprised when I took the dust jacket off to see this. And this is the back. It's written, "Hear the call, ignite the revolution." It's very pretty, but I have some problems with the book. The pacing is really weird and the world building is almost non-existent and it's quite hard to follow because it's in our world. It's in London, but For example, some countries in Europe are the same name that we know them. Some other countries are a different name. So there's that. And then it's in 1923, and she talks. So the main character is 17, and in it she talks about a war, and I'm like, is it like World War One, or is it like another war? And in them, the dragons fought for the war, but it's very fuzzy. I don't really understand. But the story is about a 17-year-old girl, and both her parents are professors around dragons, and dragons live in peace because like more than 50 years ago there was a peace treaty made between the dragons and I don't know if it's only England or Britannia, like they call it in the book, or if it's with the whole world. So yeah, there's a peace treaty, and the dragons can talk, and they speak different kind of languages depending on the countries where they're from. But they speak, for example, the dragons speak English. So yeah, at the beginning of the book, the parents of Vivienne, which is the main character, are found guilty of treason because of a revolution. And then she tries to free them, but now she got caught, and now she works for the government. So yeah, I don't know how I really feel about it, and the pacing is really weird because at the beginning of the book, her mother talks about the fact that she fled Bulgaria in 1865, and now at the beginning of the book it's 1923, so that makes her a 60-year-old woman. And Vivienne is like 17, so she got pregnant when she was 43, which could be acceptable. But Vivienne also has a sister who's 5. And then I'm like, she got a kid at 55 years old, which is a bit surprising because since it's set like 100 years ago, medicine was not the same, and I don't know, I find it really weird. I don't know really the age or if the dates were checked. And the other thing, which I read at the beginning of the last chapter, I'm gonna read a paragraph to show you what kind of pacing it is, because you're like, oh. So it says, I dwell on it all day, my eyes fixed on the patch of sky through the window. I wait as long as I can bear before I'm forced to use the chamber pot in the corner. And as I crouch over it, I hear a loud boom that reverberates through the whole building. Outside, people scream. I drift in and out of sleep as the white clouds are replaced by stars. When I wake again, the sun is high in the sky and a bolt slides loudly across the door. She goes to the toilet, she hears a bomb, but nothing really happens with the bomb. Then she falls back asleep, and then somebody opens. I don't know. I'm a bit perplexed about the story, but it's reading pretty fast, I feel like. But yeah, for the moment, I'm not very convinced by the story. I also forgot to add that in this world, there's a caste system, and there's 3 different classes in the caste. So the first, the second, the third. And when you're the third, you're like the lowest possible. And you can lose your rank by failing exams or being, I don't know. For the moment, the only reason we learn about somebody lowering in the class is because the best friend of Vivienne failed something, or because Vivienne made her fail, and she went from being from 2nd class to the 3rd. And I'm like, yeah, and the only reason we have of this caste system, to lower poverty and homelessness. But I'm like, the 3rd caste is poverty and homelessness, because each caste can only go in a certain sector or area of London. And there's a lot of guards checking you have the right pass to be in the right place. So yeah, I'm also a bit confused because of that. And what I forgot to say in the last clip is now Vivienne is helping the government because she failed to free her parents. And instead of being herself jailed, she will now help the government, because now there's a civil war, but not between dragons and humans. It's between dragons and humans, and other dragons and humans, because of a revolution. I'm still so confused. At the moment, I don't really understand why all of this. I understand the peace treaty between dragons and humans, because dragons were hunting humans and humans were hunting dragons. But why the divide in class? I don't know at the moment. Maybe we'll learn at some point, we'll see. It's now a few hours later and I'm ready to go to the thrift store. My plan is to find a plant pot and like a side table or something so I can rearrange like a corner of my place. So fingers crossed, I find something. With the new cabinet next to me, we can all agree that it was a very successful trip. Now I'm completely drained of energy, especially in my arms, because I had carried from the shop to the bus station and to the bus to my place. And I live also on the 4th floor, and I have quite high ceilings, so it's a lot of steps. So I'm feeling very weak in the arms right now. But yeah, I got this. And I'm quite happy about it. That's why I bought it. Because I think it would be nice to store my sewing machine inside and some sewing equipment with it. And when I'll buy my stained glass equipment, I can also store it inside. So yeah, that was the first. And then I have a tote bag full of stuff. I did the tote bag myself. So the first thing I got, I found it first in the shop. It was this, which is quite similar to what I bought yesterday, which is this. But now I think instead of using this frame in my bathroom to just decorate, I think I'm gonna use these two to put my products in. I think it will be quite nice. So I have this. I also found it's quite big, but I also found this. And I thought in my dark village it could go quite well. Then I found this. First I found it this way. I was like, oh, it's quite weird. And then I turned it around. It's a face. And when you light a candle, you see the light with the in the eyes. So yeah, it made me laugh. Then I got this little guy. I also got this to put it on my wall. I was looking for a plant pot. I also got a plant pot and it fits. So, and the last thing I got, yeah, it's just a vase, because on my mantelpiece I have dried flowers, but I won't change the vase. And I got this one and I really liked it because it was like wood textured. So yeah. And now for all of what I've just shown you, I paid 13 euros. So yeah, I think it was quite successful. The first casualty. I tried to put it on the wall, didn't want to. There it is. It is now Sunday. I didn't film anything else yesterday because I pushed my body past its limit and it made me suffer, and I'm still suffering today because chronic illness. But I read some more. I'm not halfway through, but almost. And unfortunately, my opinions haven't really changed. It's more like, oh yeah, I really don't like this book. And I have new things to add to why I don't like it. First, the main character is very selfish, very self-centered. For example, she keeps saying, oh yeah, I did something that made my best friend being demoted to the 3rd class. And that's one of my pet peeves in books, when it's like, oh yeah, I have a secret, but we still don't know the secret. So that's one thing. But this best friend, she reunites with her, and her best friend talks about her experience in the 3rd class. And then the main character starts to cry, and I'm like, girl, stop making everything about yourself. And every time it's like, me, and I'm like, shut up. And then the pacing is still really weird, and also the narration, because, for example, at some point, the main character is having a conversation with a group of people, and I feel like maybe it was to create some tension, and one of the guys is like, oh yeah, I did this, but he couldn't finish his sentence because a professor came and said, oh, let's go on a field trip. And then that's it. And I'm like, okay. And 2 seconds later, they're on the field trip. And I'm like, okay. I took a picture of a few quotes. So the first one, to say that the narration is weird, is like, the boy in the white collar is talking to me, leaning across the table so close that I can see the stubble on his chin. And then the sentence just after that is, his skin is as smooth as glass. And I'm like, does he have stubble? Does he have glass skin? Make it make sense. And then a guy in a group got into isolation because he was finished. But during isolation, he could send secret messages in books, and I'm like, how? How could you go to the library, pick a book, write in a book, give the book to the main character in isolation? Make it make sense. That's the first. The second, I talked yesterday about the class system and that it wasn't really making any sense. And in the same chapter, she says, the main character, but the class system exists to give everyone a fair chance. If everyone had the same chance, there would be a 1st, a 2nd, and a 3rd class. It's not giving a fair chance to everybody. And then her best friend, who was demoted, says, we have no meat, we have no fresh produce, we don't even have coal. So they're always cold and hungry. And then in the same chapter, the main character is like, I don't think parents can afford to be soft when their children are only 1 class away from a life of poverty. So, does the class system help everybody to have a fair chance? Or does it create poverty? But she said at the beginning of the book that the class system existed to stop poverty. And I'm like, make it make sense. And also, it could be quite triggering for some people, because since the parents don't want the children to be demoted to another lower class, there's abuse. They use like a type of wood that they burn, and they burn the child with it. So if you have problems with child abuse or parental abuse, maybe don't read it. It's not on page, but it's mentioned quite a few times. So yeah, it's very contradictory, and yeah. I'm not hate reading it, so that's that at least. But am I enjoying it? No, and I realize I'm quite disappointed because I had really high hopes for this book, but at the moment I'm like, no. No. In the last clip, I said I was not hate reading the book, but I think I am now. I think I read like 30 more pages, and I have 2 things to say. No, more than 2 things, but I took 2 new pictures. The first one is because the main character, Vivienne, talked about gatekeeping. And I'm like, we are in 1923. Why are we talking about gatekeeping? So I did some research on Google, and gatekeeping was invented in 1943, so 20 years later. So very anachronistic. The second one, and maybe I'm just nitpicky and I just don't like it. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm the problem. But they talked about the Ouroboros, like the snake who was eating his own tail. And in the book, they said that it was a dragon eating its own tail. And I'm like, no. And now we learn, like halfway through the book, we learn that before, dragons had rights and were living amongst humans. They were academics, politicians, landowners. And I'm like, you're a dragon! How can you go to school? It's not like they had huge building or like they go to school with the humans, because there's a difference in size. There's a difference in like I feel like this book is making me dumb. It makes me feel dumb, and not because it's too hard to comprehend, it's because it doesn't make any sense. So, yeah. Now I'm halfway through, and I'm hate reading it. Fun! It looks like I haven't moved, but it's been a few hours, and I've moved, and I even went outside. Right now it's 3 p.m, and the last time I talked to you was like 10:30, something like that. Right now, I think I have like 150 pages left. I had some time to calm myself, so right now I'm not hate reading the book anymore. It was for a short period of time the case, but not right now. But yeah, I'll probably talk to you tomorrow when I finished it, because tomorrow it's Monday, I have work. So I read during my breaks. But I'll talk to you tomorrow about the book. And we're back where it all started, on my kitchen floor. I finished the book. I'm so sad because I really didn't like it. The more pages I was reading, so many eye rolls, so many. The synopsis makes you think that it's gonna be a very epic story, like it's comes with titles like Babel and Fourth Wing. Not at all. Neither of them. For example, in the second paragraph of the synopsis, it says that her little sister is missing. Not the case. A lifeline is offered in the form of a mysterious job. Not at all. It's not a mysterious job. And then, when you go on Goodreads, there's a bigger synopsis, and the last paragraph says, an epic, sweeping fantasy with an incredible dark academia setting. It's not dark academia. It's just a little bit academia, because, yes, she's trying to learn the language of dragons, but it's not very well explained. As a reader, you don't learn anything of how it works. It's just telling, oh, it works like that. I'm like, okay, but it doesn't make any sense. It's also a clandestine, slow burn, enemies to lovers romance. Where? There's no enemies. They are barely lovers. And it's slow burn. No, because nothing happens. It's just a guy and she's a girl. They're like, oh yeah, I love you. I'm like, okay. It's not even clandestine, but well. But yeah, enemies to lovers, no. There's no point for them to be enemies at the beginning. They're never enemies, so yeah. It also says that it's a story filled with twists and turns, betrayals and secret identities. If the twists and turns they are talking about is like everybody at the end is part of the rebel coalition, what a twist and turn. Every time, like, oh yeah, I'm the part of the problem, but I was also a rebel. I'm a secret spy. I'm very disappointed in this book. Honestly, I don't recommend you reading it to compile every problem I had with it. The main character, which is the biggest, the main point of the story, didn't like her, very selfish, very self-centered. And when we learn the secret of what she did to her best friend, which is like at 80%, you're like, and then, yeah, it's very shitty secret. And then she's like, to her best friend, she says, I'm never gonna ask you to forgive me, but I'm gonna start forgiving myself. And there was a lot of talk about like, oh yeah, even if you do bad things, you can be forgiven. And I'm like, no, some people don't deserve forgiveness. And what she did, she doesn't deserve forgiveness. I'm like, I'm gonna forgive myself. It's like, to me, it's like when people go to therapy to just say like, oh yeah, but my therapist said that I should forgive myself, so that's what I'm gonna do. I know I hurt you, but I don't care. I'm gonna heal myself. I have to heal parts of myself. I'm like, fuck off. No. So this is the main character. She's like this. So yeah, I don't recommend it. It's a very disappointing read. I was very excited. And the cover is really pretty, so that's really a shame because I'm gonna get rid of this book. Not get rid. I'm gonna sell this book. And I'm also disappointed because it's my first reading vlog and I have a very poor result for my first reading vlog. I hope I'll have better luck next time. So see you then.